The rain fell softly that morning, the kind that makes the whole world sound like it's whispering. Black umbrellas dotted the cemetery like dark flowers, and beneath one of them stood Laura Bennett, her eyes hollow, her fingers gripping the damp fabric of her husband's old coat. It still smelled faintly of him, cedar wood and aftershave, and that scent was the only thing holding her together. Michael had been gone for barely 3 days, but to Laura, time already felt different. Every second stretched, thin and sharp like broken glass. Around her, people murmured condolences, but their words were static, meaningless noise against the storm inside her chest. She wasn't ready to bury him. Not yet. Her son, Evan, stood a few steps away, beside his wife, Clara, a woman Laura had tried so hard to love. She'd welcomed Clara into their family with open arms, even when she sensed the distance behind that practiced smile. Today, that smile was gone, replaced by something colder. As the final prayer ended, the priest's voice faded into the sound of rain. Laura stepped forward, her trembling hand releasing a single white rose onto the polished coffin. "Goodbye, my love," she whispered. She didn't expect an answer, but deep down she hoped for a sign, a rustle in the wind, a whisper in her heart, something, anything. Instead, she heard Clara's voice. "Laura, maybe you should head home. We'll take care of things here." The words stung. Home? That house was hers, the one she and Michael had built from nothing, brick by brick over 30 years. Laura blinked, unsure she'd heard correctly. I'd like to stay a while," she murmured. Clara sighed, her tone clipped. "You've been through a lot. It's best you rest. Evan and I can handle the guests." Evan said nothing. He looked away, eyes red but distant, a man torn between grief and loyalty. The silence stretched like a wound. Then Clara stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough for Laura to hear. "You'll need to start packing soon. Once everything's settled, we'll need to discuss the house. It's not fair to hold on to something Evan and I could—" Laura froze. The house? Her heart pounded. The air around her seemed to thicken. "You can't mean... Michael wanted me to stay. This is my home." Clara's lips curved. Not quite a smile, not quite a sneer. "Things change, Laura. It's time to move on, for everyone's sake." Before Laura could reply, Clara turned away, linking her arm with Evan's as they walked back toward the waiting car. And just like that, Laura stood alone by the grave, her husband's name freshly carved in stone, her world collapsing one cruel word at a time. By the time the guests left, the rain had stopped. The cemetery was empty except for her and the wind rustling through the oaks. Laura ran her fingers along Michael's name, tracing each letter as if she could memorize it through touch. "You wouldn't believe what's happening, Mike. They're already talking about the house, about moving on." Her voice broke. "I'm trying to be strong, like you always said I was, but I don't know if I can do this alone." She stayed there until the sky turned gray-blue with dusk. When she finally drove home, the house felt different, colder, quieter, as if it already knew what was coming. Every photo on the wall seemed to stare back at her. Her wedding day, Evan's first steps, that Christmas where Michael burned the turkey and they laughed for hours. Memories now felt like ghosts hovering between the walls. She made herself tea she wouldn't drink, sat in Michael's chair she couldn't fill, and tried to breathe. Then, as the clock struck 9, her phone buzzed. A text from Evan. "Mom, Clara thinks it's best if you stay somewhere else for a while. We'll handle the house stuff tomorrow. Please don't make this harder than it already is." The words hit her harder than the funeral itself. "Somewhere else?" she whispered. "I am somewhere else. I'm in the ruins of my life." Tears blurred the screen as she typed back, "This is my home. I'm not leaving." The typing dots appeared, then disappeared. No reply. Hours passed in silence. Laura sat by the window, watching rain streak down the glass, the world outside fading into darkness. And then, just as midnight approached, her phone buzzed again. But this time, the message wasn't from Evan. It was from Michael's number. The house was silent, heavy with the kind of stillness that makes every tick of the clock sound like thunder. Laura sat frozen, her phone trembling in her hand. The screen glowed softly in the darkness, and on it, one message that made her breath catch. From Michael, heart. Laura, don't let them take it. Check the drawer in my study, now. For a long, unreal second, she could only stare. Her husband's number, the same one she'd canceled after his death, the same phone now locked in a drawer upstairs, beside his folded ties and his watch that still told the wrong time. "This can't be real," she whispered, heart hammering. "It's not possible." But the message was there, glowing insistently. Hands shaking, she stood and turned on the light. The floorboards creaked beneath her feet as she made her way to Michael's study, the room he'd always kept private, where bills, memories, and secrets lived side by side. The air smelled faintly of paper and old coffee. Everything was as he'd left it. She knelt beside the oak desk and opened the middle drawer. Inside lay a few pens, some old receipts, and a small sealed envelope with her name written across it in Michael's unmistakable handwriting. Her throat tightened. She hadn't seen his handwriting since before the hospital. With trembling fingers, she opened it. Inside were two things, a folded letter and a tiny silver USB drive. The letter began simply. "My dearest Laura, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't keep my promise to grow old with you. But I need you to know something important. I left this world with more than love. I left it with truth. Truth I couldn't tell you before because I wanted to protect you. But now, you need to protect yourself." Her eyes blurred with tears as she read on. "Evan doesn't know what Clara's been planning. She is not who she seems. The company shares, the house, even my accounts. She's been manipulating everything. I found documents she forged. She's waiting for my death certificate to finalize the transfer." Her breath hitched. The words burned into her mind. "That USB holds proof. Bank records, emails, signatures. Take it to Daniel Hayes, my lawyer. He's the only one I trust. Don't tell anyone until you see him. And Laura, remember, you were always stronger than you believed. Love, Michael." Her hand covered her mouth as she cried, not just for loss, but for revelation. The message, the envelope, the timing. Somehow, Michael had prepared for this moment. As the clock struck midnight, thunder rolled across the sky. Outside, the storm returned, as if echoing her emotions. Grief, fear, anger, determination. She held the USB tightly. Her reflection in the window looked older, sharper, harder. The soft woman who wept at the grave was gone. In her place stood someone different. Someone Michael believed in. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, not from Michael. It was from Clara. "Leaving so soon, Laura?" Her heart dropped. The streetlight above flickered. Through the blur of rain on her windshield, she saw Clara's silhouette step out from the shadows, umbrella in hand, expression unreadable. Her trembling hand hovered over the ignition. "Michael," she whispered, voice cracking, "if you really are watching, please guide me." Then she started the car and drove into the storm. That night, as the wind howled through the trees and the rain battered her windshield, Laura didn't feel weak anymore. She felt awake. Michael's message hadn't just saved her. It had awakened something inside her that had been sleeping for years. Courage. And she would need every ounce of it for what came next. Because by morning, Clara would make her move. And this time, Laura would be ready. By the time dawn broke, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. The world outside looked washed clean, but inside Laura's car, her hands still trembled against the steering wheel. She hadn't slept. She'd driven for hours, aimless, exhausted, yet unable to stop replaying Michael's words in her head. She's been manipulating everything. That USB holds proof. Every syllable echoed like thunder. When the first light hit the horizon, Laura parked near a small roadside diner. It was quiet. Just a few trucks, a flickering neon sign, and the smell of old coffee. She walked inside, ordered tea, and sat in a corner booth. Her reflection in the window barely looked like her. Eyes hollow, hair tangled, grief and fear tangled together. But when she touched her pocket, the small metal USB reminded her she wasn't just running anymore. She was fighting back. She took out her phone and searched for Daniel Hayes, Michael's lawyer. His office was just outside the city. It was still early, but she left a message. "Daniel, this is Laura Bennett. Michael told me to contact you. It's urgent. Please call me as soon as you can." Then, she connected the USB to her laptop. The screen flickered to life, revealing a single folder labeled "For Laura." Inside were subfolders, emails, bank statements, contracts, recordings. Her heart raced. She clicked emails first. Her breath caught as she read the sender lines, Clara Bennett to Michael Bennett. The subject lines were chillingly casual. Transfer confirmation. Don't tell Laura yet. He won't find out. Each message detailed financial transfers, money withdrawn from their joint account, property deeds shifted, and insurance details altered without her knowledge. Laura covered her mouth in disbelief. Michael had been sick for months, in and out of the hospital, too weak to manage business affairs, and Clara had used that time to tighten her grip on everything. Then she opened the recordings folder. There was one file, april4th.conversation.mp3. She clicked play. Michael's voice, tired but steady, filled the air. "Clara, I saw the documents. Why is my signature on them?" Clara's voice followed, calm, dismissive. "You must have forgotten, Michael. You signed weeks ago." "No, I didn't," Michael snapped weakly. "You're transferring assets that don't belong to you. You'll destroy Laura." "Laura's old, sentimental, and weak. She doesn't know how to handle finances. Evan and I are just making things easier." Laura's stomach dropped. "If she finds out, I'll make sure she doesn't stay in that house another day," Clara added, voice cold as ice. "Once you're gone, everything will belong to Evan and me." "Over my dead body," Michael whispered. The recording cut off with a faint click. Laura's trembling fingers stopped the playback. She stared at the screen as the world around her blurred. The tears came hard this time, not quiet sobs, but deep, raw grief mixed with rage. She clutched the locket around her neck, the one Michael gave her on their 25th anniversary, and whispered, "You tried to warn me, and I didn't see it." She sat there for a long time, watching rain drip down the diner window, her heart hardening with each drop. When her phone buzzed, she jumped. A call, finally. Daniel Hayes. "Laura, it's Daniel. I just heard your message. Are you safe?" She swallowed. "I don't know. Daniel, I found something. Michael left me a USB with proof Clara forged documents and drained our accounts." Daniel's tone shifted instantly, sharp and alert. "Listen carefully. Laura, don't go home. Clara's been trying to access Michael's estate records. She visited my office last week pretending to be you." "What?" "She had fake authorization papers. Luckily, my assistant caught a spelling error. But she's been preparing this for months." Laura's pulse raced. Michael knew. He recorded her. He left evidence. "Good. Bring it to me. Don't email it. Don't call her. Meet me here by noon. We'll go to the police together." Laura nodded, though he couldn't see. "I'll be there." But before hanging up, Daniel added quietly, "Laura, be careful. If Clara knows you have proof, she won't just give up."
Laura ended the call and took a deep breath. Her tea had gone cold. The diner felt smaller now, the air tighter. She packed her laptop, slipped the USB into her pocket again, and stepped outside into the drizzle. Her car engine started, but before she could pull out, her phone buzzed with a new message. Clara. Funny thing, Laura. Michael left more secrets than you think. Maybe we should talk. Her hands gripped the steering wheel. How did she know? She ignored the message and drove. Every light, every intersection felt like a test. She kept checking the mirror, half expecting that black sedan to reappear. By the time she reached the city, the sun was climbing higher. But Laura's mind was dark with one thought. Clara wasn't just cruel. She was dangerous. And if Michael had found all this before he died, maybe his death wasn't as natural as everyone believed. The thought made her stomach turn. When she finally pulled into Daniel Hayes' office, she didn't notice the gray car parked a block away, or the camera lens peeking through the half-open window. Clara was already one step ahead.
The city was alive with noise, but inside Daniel Hayes' office, everything felt frozen. Laura sat across from the lawyer's mahogany desk, her hands wrapped around the USB like it was the last piece of her husband she had left. Daniel, a man in his late 50s with calm, intelligent eyes, plugged the drive into his computer. For several minutes, the only sounds were the soft hum of the processor and the ticking of a clock on the wall. When the files loaded, his expression changed, a slow, grim tightening that confirmed everything Laura already knew in her heart. "This is bad," Daniel muttered. "These aren't just small transfers. Clara's been moving assets into her personal accounts for months. She even forged power of attorney papers." Laura swallowed hard. "Michael tried to stop her, didn't he?" Daniel nodded slowly. "It looks that way. These files show she was already planning to declare him mentally unfit before his death. If he hadn't caught on, she would have gained full control of everything." Laura felt her stomach twist. "You think she—" Daniel looked up, face grave. "Laura, it's possible Michael's death wasn't entirely natural. I can't say more without proof, but we'll need to involve the police. These records, especially the recordings, are serious evidence." The room swayed slightly as Laura gripped the edge of the desk. It was too much, too cruel. The man she'd loved her entire life, betrayed by someone they trusted. Her son's wife, her family. She stood, pacing near the window, the city blurring below. "Michael always said he didn't trust her with money. I thought it was just overprotectiveness. I should have listened." Daniel's tone softened. "Laura, you trusted your family. That's not a crime, but now you need to protect yourself. I'll make a copy of this USB and file an official statement." Before he could finish, the office door opened. The receptionist's hesitant voice followed. "Mr. Hayes? There's a woman here asking for Mrs. Bennett. She says it's urgent." Laura turned, her breath catching. Standing in the doorway was Clara. She was immaculate. Dark dress, neat hair, eyes sharp as glass. For a moment, neither woman spoke. The air was thick with tension, years of polite smiles and hidden venom collapsing into this one moment. "Clara," Daniel said firmly, stepping forward, "this is a private meeting. You'll need to leave." Clara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm not going anywhere until Laura and I talk. Mother-in-law to daughter-in-law." Laura's voice shook. "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I think you know," Clara said smoothly, stepping further inside. "You found it, didn't you? Michael's little secret." "How do you know about that?" Daniel demanded. Clara's gaze flicked to him, calm and cold. "Michael wasn't as careful as he thought. I found his backup drive weeks ago.
I knew he'd hidden something from me. I just didn't know where. But Laura, you were always so predictable, so easy to read. Laura's jaw tightened. You forged his documents, stole from him, and tried to erase me from my own home. And now you have the nerve to walk in here? Clara laughed softly, a cruel, humorless sound. Erase you? Laura, you erased yourself. You lived in that big house pretending everything was perfect while Michael was dying. He told me things, about the money problems, the loans, how you couldn't manage anything without him. That's not true. He told me everything was under control. Of course he did. Clara's voice dripped with venom. He didn't want you to know that he was failing. I was the one handling everything at the end. You should be thanking me. Thanking you? Laura's voice cracked, anger and disbelief flooding out. You betrayed us. You used my husband's sickness to take what wasn't yours. For the first time, Claire's mask slipped. Her eyes hardened. He was going to cut me out. Everything. The will, the company, even Evan's inheritance. You think I was just going to let that happen? The truth hit like lightning. Clara's greed wasn't random. It was revenge. Daniel stepped forward. That's enough. Clara, you just admitted to financial manipulation in front of witnesses. I'll be turning this over to the authorities immediately. But before he could reach the phone, Clara's hand darted into her purse, not for a weapon, but for a small flash drive. She slammed it on the desk. You think I came here unprepared? You're not the only one with evidence, Daniel. Laura frowned. What are you talking about? Clara smiled. Michael wasn't perfect. He had secrets too. You think that message he sent you was divine intervention? Please. He scheduled it weeks before his death. He knew he was dying, and he wanted one last way to manipulate everyone, including you. Laura shook her head. No, he loved me. He would never. Oh, he loved you. But he also pitied you. That message wasn't from the grave, Laura. It was a preset text, sent automatically. You're living in a fantasy. Her words cut deep, but Laura didn't flinch. For the first time, she saw Clara for what she truly was. Desperate, unraveling. Daniel glanced at Laura. Don't engage her. She's trying to twist the story. But Laura's voice was steady now. Maybe he did schedule it, Clara. Maybe he knew exactly what you'd do after he was gone. That's why he left the truth with me, because I knew I'd find the strength to fight back. For a brief second, Clara's face flickered, fear behind fury. Daniel pressed a button on his desk phone. Security, please escort Mrs. Clara Bennett out immediately. Clara's composure cracked. You think this is over? She hissed, backing toward the door. You have no idea what's coming. The guards appeared, leading her out as her heels clicked angrily against the tile. The sound echoed long after she was gone. Laura stood still, heart pounding, but there was something else there now. Not grief, not anger, but clarity. For the first time since Michael's funeral, she felt like herself again. Daniel turned to her. We'll handle the legal process from here. I'll make sure Clara can't touch your home or Michael's estate. But you should know, this won't be easy. People like her, they don't go down quietly. Laura gave a small, weary smile. Neither do I.
The house was quiet again. Too quiet. Laura sat in the dim light of her living room, the soft hum of the grandfather clock filling the silence between her thoughts. The day had been a storm. Lawyers, accusations, the haunting reappearance of Clara. And now, as darkness settled over the neighborhood, she felt the exhaustion of months crash down on her shoulders. The folded flag from her husband's funeral still sat on the mantel, next to a photograph of him smiling in uniform. His eyes, calm and steady, seemed to be watching her even now. "You always saw the truth before I did," she whispered. "I just wish you'd told me sooner." Her phone buzzed on the table beside her. For a heartbeat, she froze. Midnight, the same time the message had come before, that haunting text from her late husband's number. She stared at the glowing screen. New message. "Laura, go to the study." Her breath caught. Her thumb hovered over the screen, trembling. It couldn't be. That number was still disconnected. The service canceled weeks ago. She'd checked. And yet, the message sat there, clear and unmistakable. She rose slowly, heart hammering. The house was dark, shadows stretching across the hallways. As she reached the study door, a faint scent of cedar and old books filled the air, her husband's favorite room untouched since his death. Laura turned the handle. The door creaked open. Inside, the desk lamp was on. She froze. She hadn't been in this room all day. On the desk sat a small envelope with her name written in Michael's handwriting. Her knees nearly gave way. Hands trembling, she picked it up and opened it. Inside was a single flash drive and a note that read, "If she tries again, this will end it. Play it only when you are ready." She plugged the flash drive into her laptop, holding her breath. A video began to play. Shaky at first, like it had been recorded late at night. Then Michael's face appeared on the screen. Pale, thin, but still so familiar. "Laura," his voice said, weak but steady. "If you're seeing this, it means I couldn't stop her myself. I didn't want to burden you with this while I was alive. You deserved peace, not fear. But I know Clara, and I know she won't stop until she owns everything. That's why I made sure to document everything." He took a slow breath. "You'll find copies of her bank records and recordings in the files I left. She forged my signature more than once, and she was planning something worse. The night I went into the hospital, she came to my room. She thought I was asleep. I wasn't." He paused, eyes glistening. "She told the nurse to increase my dosage, said it was doctor approved, but I heard the nurse refuse. She got scared and left. Laura, she wanted me gone, but she didn't realize that the room had a security camera. I made sure of it." Laura's blood ran cold. "Oh God," she whispered. Michael leaned closer to the camera. "I didn't tell Daniel. He wouldn't have believed it, but I trust you will. I've already sent the footage to our lawyer's archive. You'll know what to do when the time comes. And Laura," his voice softened, "don't let her break you. This house, this life, they're yours. You earned every brick, every heartbeat of it. I love you." The screen faded to black. Laura sat there in stunned silence, tears streaming down her cheeks. For a long time, she couldn't move. The truth was even darker than she had imagined, but it was also her salvation. Michael hadn't just protected her home, he had left her justice. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. A notification appeared, not for her this time, but for Clara. It was a forwarded message from Michael's legal account, automatically triggered. The subject line read, "Evidence submission, case 47B, unauthorized medical alteration." It was over. Laura exhaled shakily. The system her husband had built, the automated protections, the trust documents, the legal triggers, had all been leading to this. Clara had crossed a line that could never be erased. Across town, at that very moment, Clara sat in her sleek apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes. The night was silent until her phone buzzed. She glanced down. The sender's name made her blood turn to ice.
Michael Bennett. Her breath hitched. "No," she whispered. "No, this isn't real." The message contained only a single attachment, a video file titled Hospital Room 12A. She hesitated, then pressed play. The video showed her, standing beside Michael's bedside, whispering to a nurse. Her voice was clear, her words undeniable. "He's in pain. Increase the dose. He won't make it through the night anyway." The nurse refused. Clara's eyes in the video turned cold. "Do it," she said again. "That's an order." The recording ended. Clara's scream tore through the apartment. Within minutes, her phone lit up again, this time from a restricted number. "Mrs. Clara Bennett, this is Detective Rowe. We've received new evidence regarding the death of Michael Bennett. We need you to come in immediately for questioning." Her perfect world collapsed in an instant. Back at home, Laura sat in silence as dawn began to break through the windows. The first rays of sunlight spilled across the framed photographs on the wall. Michael in uniform, Daniel as a boy, family holidays that once felt endless. For the first time since the funeral, she felt peace. Not triumph, not revenge, just peace. Her phone buzzed again. A final message. From Michael Bennett, automated estate account. Subject, for you. "Laura, if this is the last message you ever get from me, let it remind you that love doesn't end with death. Truth doesn't die in silence. And home is not made of walls. It's made of the people who refuse to give up on what's right. Rest now, my love. You did it." Laura pressed the phone to her heart. The clock ticked softly behind her, marking the end of one chapter and the quiet beginning of another. Outside, the sun climbed higher, warming the house Michael had built, and the woman who had finally reclaimed it. She whispered to the light, "You kept your promise." And for the first time, she smiled.